In 1959, 9 hikers set out into Russia's frozen wilderness. None of them returned alive. What rescuers discovered at Dyatlov Pass remains one of history's most disturbing mysteries. Picture this: a torn tent fluttering in the icy wind, eerie footprints in endless snow, a faint glow of radiation, and a crude sketch of something unidentified in the night sky. These are just fragments of the puzzle that has haunted investigators for over 6 decades. But what really happened on that fateful February night? Let's rewind and set the scene. Our story begins with a group of young, vibrant college students. They weren't just any students, though. These were experienced hikers, well versed in the challenges of trekking through Russia's unforgiving Ural Mountains. At their helm was Igor Dyatlov, a natural leader whose name would soon be etched into the annals of unsolved mysteries. The date was February 1st, 1959. As the group made camp on the slopes of Kolotsayakal, a name that eerily translates to Dead Mountain, they had no idea it would be the last night any of them were seen alive. Weeks passed. The silence from the expedition grew deafening, and then the search teams made a discovery that would chill them to their very core. The hiker's tent stood alone in the vast whiteness, but something was terribly wrong. It had been slashed open from the inside. Why would anyone cut their way out of their only shelter in sub-zero temperatures? But here's where it gets truly bizarre. The team's belongings were left behind, untouched, their shoes missing. It was as if they had fled in blind panic, choosing certain death in the freezing night over whatever terror had invaded their camp. As rescuers expanded their search, a grim tableau unfolded across the snowy landscape. Bodies were found scattered, some nearly a mile from the campsite. But how they were found, that's what keeps investigators awake at night. Some of the hikers were barely dressed, despite temperatures that plummeted to 30 degrees below zero. Others bore injuries so severe, so violent, that they defied explanation. Fractured skulls, crushed ribs, and in one particularly haunting case, a young woman was found missing both her eyes and her tongue. Yet the mysteries didn't end there. When the bodies were examined, traces of radiation were detected on their clothing. What could possibly explain this cocktail of horrors? Over the years, theories have swirled like the unforgiving mountain winds. Some mainstream, others less so. Let's dive into the rabbit hole, shall we? The avalanche theory has long been the official explanation. It's neat, it's natural, and it's backed by recent scientific simulations. But skeptics argue it fails to account for the lack of avalanche debris, the radiation, and the brutal injuries sustained by some of the hikers. But what if it wasn't nature at all? What if something far more sinister was at play? Some point to the possibility of a secret military experiment gone horribly wrong. The Cold War was at its height. The Soviet Union was known for pushing the boundaries of weapons testing. Could the hikers have stumbled upon something they were never meant to see? Parachute mines, experimental weapons, the theories are as chilling as they are plausible, but they still don't explain everything. And then there are the lights. Multiple witnesses reported strange, bright lights in the sky on that very night. Lights that defied explanation. Could something truly otherworldly have descended upon that lonely mountain pass? The UFO theory might sound far-fetched, but it's gained traction over the years. It would explain the radiation, the panic, and perhaps even those inexplicable injuries. But of course, it opens up a whole new can of worms. Yet there's another theory that treads the line between the natural and the bizarre: infrasound. These are low-frequency sound waves, inaudible to the human ear, but capable of inducing fear, panic, and even hallucinations. Could a freak weather phenomenon have driven the hikers to madness? It's a compelling idea that could explain their seemingly irrational behavior, but again, it fails to account for all the physical evidence left behind. Some researchers have tried to piece together a more mundane explanation. a combination of natural causes, perhaps a partial snow collapse, followed by hypothermia and a phenomenon known as paradoxical undressing. It's a known fact that in the final stages of freezing to death, some victims inexplicably remove their clothing. But does this really explain the violence of the injuries, the missing body parts, the radiation? In recent years, there have been renewed efforts to crack this cold case. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the investigation, concluding that an avalanche coupled with hypothermia was indeed the culprit. A 2021 scientific simulation, featured in both Wired and The New Yorker, demonstrated how a particular type of avalanche could have produced injuries consistent with those found on the hikers. But for many, these explanations still fall short. There are too many anomalies, too many unanswered questions that nag at the edges of our understanding. So here we are, over 60 years later, and the Dyatlov Pass incident remains shrouded in mystery. Was it simply the cruel hand of nature, a government cover-up, or something so far beyond our comprehension that we struggle to even frame the right questions? Maybe we'll never know the full truth of what transpired on that frozen mountainside. Perhaps some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved, fueling our imaginations and reminding us of how much we have yet to understand about our world. But that doesn't mean we stop asking questions. That doesn't mean we stop searching for answers. So now I turn it over to you. What do you think happened that night in Dyatlov Pass? Was it an avalanche? A military experiment gone wrong? Or something even stranger? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're hungry for more unexplained mysteries and chilling tales from history's shadows, be sure to subscribe, because trust me, we've only scratched the surface of the strange and unexplained. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.